Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Thank you, Carol. Look at you starting off the chat. Starting off the chat already. Woo! Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hello, Bianca. Hello, Christina, Carol. Everybody tuning in maybe on their TV or whatever and can't join in the chat. Actually, I'm going to leave that up there for a little bit while everybody comes in. Yes, thank you, Carol. Look at you. Excuse me. I know I'm a little bit early. I just want to get out of the way. Everything is alleged and our opinion only. You guys, I woke up out of my sleep last night. Hello. Okay, so is it Linnea or Linnea? Did I say it right? Hello, Denmark in the house. Look at that. Denmark in the heezy. I hope everybody's week is starting off great. I woke up out of the middle of my sleep and had this idea. Like it just came to me. Hello, iRock. Hi, Wolf Angel. Oh, awesome. Glad to have you. I'm glad you're here. We'll try not to bore you too much. So I woke up out of my sleep last night with this idea that just randomly came to me apparently while I was dreaming. And I ran to my notebook that I have for all my stuff for this case. And I wrote it down half asleep. And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, when I wake up in the morning, that's either going to be the dumbest idea or I'm going to forget about it. And I ended up reading it like 10 minutes ago. And I was like, you know what? That's really not a bad idea. So I'll have to share it with you guys. We won't do it first, but I'll share my idea with you. Hello, stop that right now. Hello, everybody showing up, and showing out today. So, yes, everything is alleged in our opinion only. I saw on a couple of other creators' channels, I saw a couple of comments where people were asking other people or asking that creator to respond to their comment and tell them how to get to the documents. If there is anybody watching or in the chat or anything here, if you want me to show you how I originally got to the ISP documents, I can absolutely do that if you need me to do that. I can do that, not a problem. The best thing you can do without me showing you is just the first time I got into it, I just Googled Idaho State Police and main page pops up under the crime scene tape in like a picture they have on the main screen. It'll have a link. It doesn't look like it's clickable. You click that and it should direct you. You just kind of have to read the page. But yeah, the Fizzy. Hey, Fizzy. Hey, Fizzy. Hi, Sid. Yes, the documents are crazy. It's like exactly, Fizzy. My goodness. It's so wild. It's like you think, oh, the documents, what really could be much in there more than what MPD really gave us, because they did the interviews, they were at the same time. So one report is now different from the ISP detective that was sitting in on the same dang interview. Oh my gosh, it's like this cannot be real life. Like, what is going on? Just when you think we're going to get maybe an answer for something, nope, we sure don't. Hey, Pokey. This case is absolutely insane. Hello, riding down the rabbit hole. Riding down the rabbit hole. You know, it's funny you say that, IROC. IROC says, it was the frat boys, I tell you. That was my very, very first like feeling. You know how sometimes you get intuition about stuff, and I know that might sound crazy in itself, but we get intuition about stuff sometimes, and that was my first intuition at the very, very beginning of this case. And I can't say from day one. You know, you have to think on it for a little bit and play it out in your head and let some news come out and stuff. But I landed on the frat boys pretty quickly. And especially then after we see that thing that came out where you can see the kids or boys or whatever running in the background from the band field, like that. And then the frat boys have stuck with me for a while. I still think on them like there's something to them. There just is. Fizzy. I think they wrote all the ideas on balls, put them in those bingo things, and just let one drop one at a time. Gosh, doesn't it feel like that? Carol, right on the money. I heard Maddie's family and Ethan's family filed a lawsuit to stop crime scene photos from being released. You are absolutely correct. I don't know about Ethan's family, but I do know that Maddie's mom filed a lawsuit to halt any crime scene photos. Now, what I did read was it said any photos from her daughter's room is an invasion of privacy. So does that mean they're going to halt all crime scene photos or just the ones about Maddie and in Maddie's room? I don't know. Hey, Shelly, I haven't seen an appeal yet. And I kind of wanted to talk about that too. Have they, Bianca? Cool. Good to know. Not cool technically, but I mean, I think there's a fine line. Thank you. Stop that right now. I think there's a fine line between the people's right to know and them not wanting photos of their babies out like that. You know, I mean, you can't blame them. You really can't. You know, you think of if it was your own child or whatever, you wouldn't really want that either. So I get it. But on the flip side, the people that are wanting the truth and wanting to dig into this information, not that we need to see their bodies in their last moment. I'm not saying that we need to see that. If you are into like crime scene stuff and forensic-y stuff, yes, that helps with putting the story together, but we don't necessarily need to see the bodies. I just want to see the directions of the cast off and, you know, stuff like that, the actual deep forensic stuff. That's really what I want to see. Absolutely, Fizzy. You're absolutely correct. There has to be pictures of when, I mean, we've seen cell phone pictures of it. Why wouldn't there be actual crime scene professional photos after the bodies are removed? I don't understand why we can't have that. But yeah, I wanted to oh, there was somebody I wanted to say hi to. Shelly. Hi, Shelly. Think I got everybody so far. You're right, Sid. It's crucial evidence, but that's the problem. They aren't being transparent about anything that exists. You're absolutely right. And that's the problem. And then it seems when we do get a little bit, it doesn't match with what they told us. You know, with what we can see with our own eyes does not match with what they're telling us or have been telling us. Carol asks, are they unable to tell the times of unaliving? There's so many questions about the order of that. I agree. I think that it would be nice to know the order, and you would think that they should know the order. And I've heard, and it could just be a rumor, I don't know it as fact, but I've heard that they don't know the order. And to me, all that says is I feel like the only way you wouldn't know the order is if different weapons were used, because you wouldn't be able to see the transfer, right? Wild. So I'll share my idea I had with you guys in a little bit. First, let me grab my notes. I wanted to talk about this appeal just very, very briefly because we haven't seen an appeal yet. And I think a lot of people are saying that their opinion is if Brian Kohberger does not appeal to them, it shows even more guilt. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I understand the logic of it. I understand the thinking pattern with that. But what my problem is, who doesn't appeal? Even when people are super extra guilty and they have all the evidence in the world against them, it seems like everybody appeals, right? Like you have nothing else to do. Why you might as well spend some time appealing and go to court and all that stuff, at least try. So the fact that he hasn't appealed yet, and if he does not appeal, that really raises more questions for me. Like, are you being threatened that bad? Are you given huge promises to not appeal and to just completely take the fall? Or is it deeper than that? Like maybe some of the things that Birdie has said with the NIJ study and things like that. And my idea out of that popped me out of bed last night actually kind of is along the lines of some of the stuff Birdie's been talking about with the NIJ study, but I'll touch on that a little bit later. But so I'm really torn on the appeal thing, whether it means he's extra super guilty or whether that means there's something else going on and there's a reason he's not appealing, because I feel like everybody appeals. How many more days does he have to appeal? Shelly asks, and it is up on the 3rd of September. So he's got till the 3rd of September. So about 2 weeks or so. I wish, there's been other cases in the past where people have collected DNA on their own and paid the money or raised the money and had it tested. I wish somebody would do that in this case. Heck, I would do it if I could. I just want answers. I don't know if it would. I have no idea about that. That's an excellent question. Sid says, would the appeal go through Hitler again? I'm not sure. I would think it would go through an appellate court, so it would be different, but I'm not 100% sure, honestly. Is there Ren in here? There it is. Okay. Hi, Ren. All right, guys. Yes, he does need an appellate lawyer, Fizzy. Yeah, you're right. So it might go through a different court. I don't really know. I didn't really dig into that or even ask Google or anything yet. So, I mean, Hitler, I think, was the biggest problem in this case, in the courtroom aspect of it. Hitler was the biggest problem. I mean, I think if during court, if Brian Koberger had to pee, he would have been told to pee his pants. Like, they're not giving him anything. Hitler was not going to do anything for him. Absolutely not. Hello, True Crime X. Yeah. True Crime X says the appeal doesn't happen right away, like going to court. It's just the filing and stuff, which, yeah, you're correct. I'm waiting on it. I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to, but I think that tells me something different than it would tell most people. That's just my opinion. All right. I'm going to document wise, I still haven't gotten through all of them. It's a lot, and I like to reread them again and, try and get as much out of them the first time I read it rather than going back and trying to find stuff and everything else. So it takes me a little bit longer just because I'm really like trying to apply and dig into that one specific document. So we're just going to go over Sha Walter's document today. But then I have other stuff to talk about too. So let me add this to the stage. And again, if anybody out there, hello inside your bones. I cannot say I disagree with you, babe. I think that I think we know that as fact now, only because Ann Taylor spoke on that too, that there's been threats. And obviously we don't know what those threats are, so we can't even judge if they're super bad or if they're meaningless or what, but it might be enough to make him scared. Who knows? Who really knows? Hello, Inside Your Bones. Hello, hello. Thank you for subbing this morning. I'm glad to see you. Good to see you in chat too. That's awesome. That's an interesting thought. Sid says, I'm really surprised that Brian's family hasn't given an interview if this was all kosher. I don't know. Everybody's different. I think that there's families, you can see the difference just in the 4 victims' families where, Stacy Chapin goes to freaking Crime Con, which, hey, that's her life. She can do her. And then we've got Steve, who's, super outspoken. And then Karen, who seemed to be kind of sitting in the back and observing and not really saying much, but now she's filed a lawsuit, that whole thing. So everybody's different. I don't know. They are really private. You're right, Christina. They're really private. And I think that I always think back when it comes to parents of people that have done something wrong or been accused of doing something wrong. I think back to Columbine and with their parents, not both of their parents, not Eric's parents, but the other one, Dylan Klebold. I think of his mom, and she seems, fairly normal, and she's heartbroken not only to lose her own child, but she felt like she couldn't grieve or process it to lose her own child because of what her child did. It's a touchy subject. So I think it might be hard for parents of the accused to speak out, even though they're going through a hard time as well. So you never know. Never know. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started just with Sha Walter's document today. And it's not super long, so we won't be reading forever. This one is... So it shows the victims, and then it shows witness number 6, which is a white male. He's 23 years old. And this is Sha Walter. On November 16th, 2022, at approximately 3:16 p.m., Idaho State Police investigators, Lieutenant blah, 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 did an interview at Sha Walter's parents' house located in Boise. During the interview, Sha Walter stated, his residence at school was in Moscow. His residence is approximately 200 to 300 feet from the location of the homicide. He said it was He said it has been a little nerve-wracking going outside of his apartment. Is that because of looking at the house when he comes out, or is that because he is scared for his own self? We don't know. Everything's alleged. He knew some of the homicide victims. He knew Maddie and Xana. He had met Kaylee the night before the homicide, but did not realize she was one of the victims until later. He did not know the male victim, Ethan. I do find that a little interesting just because he says or claims he knows Xana, and Xana and Ethan had been together for about a year. So if you know Xana like that, how would you not know Ethan? It seems like they were pretty inseparable. But anyways, at this point in the interview, Sha Walter's mother arrived home and was present for the remainder of the interview. Sha Walter had known Mogan since their freshman year, and they were in the same pledge class for their fraternities and sororities. Maddie had dated some of Sha Walter's friends and had positive interactions with Sha Walter's girlfriend in the past. Sha Walter had classes with Maddie, and they had done homework together periodically. He and Maddie had a lot of friends in common as well. He supposed he had met Kaylee prior to that night, but did not recall specifically. What I find interesting about that is if he's explaining how close he is to Maddie, and Maddie and Kaylee are best freaking friends, how would you not know Kaylee? Or, you know what I mean? Like, of course, that's Maddie's best friend. Of course, she would talk about her and have her around and all sorts of stuff. But anyways, he said he had never met Xana's boyfriend, Ethan, before. Sha Walter heard Ethan belonged to I think Sigma Chi fraternity. Ethan was also a year younger than Sha Walter in school. Maddie was dating one of blank fraternity brothers, who is Jake. Sha Walter believed Jake lived in Boise. Sha Walter had spoken to Jake earlier in the day on November 16th and is a stand-up guy. Maddie's previous boyfriend was also one of Sha Walter's friends and is also a nice guy. He and Mogan were mostly just on and off blank friends. Huh. I don't know what that blank friends would be. Hello, Vidrios. Is it Sipanon? Don't let me butcher your name. Hello, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. Saturday night, November 12th, and into Sunday morning, November 13th, at the end of the game day, people went out to the bars. Sha Walter ran into Mogan at the corner club. Maddie and Kaylee were going to leave the bar to go to John's Alley and asked Sha Walter if he wanted to go with them. On the way to John's Alley, Maddie and Kaylee decided to get food at the grub truck instead. Did they ask him to go with them, or, was it just kind of like a we're going here and he just kind of followed, or was he actually invited? I don't know. Sha Walter was at the grub truck with them, but was hanging out in the back because he was not getting any food. Someone in a silver sedan picked up Maddie and Kaylee. He assumed it was one of their friends. Sha Walter told Maddie to have a good night. No, he didn't. He did not tell her to have a good night, did he? I thought they were ignoring him, and then they got into the car and he was like, what the heck? Right? Sha Walter. Oh, is it Sha Walter? Blank's designated driver's shift had already ended at approximately 2 a.m. Sha Walter had a good coat on, so he walked home. He thought it took him 20 to 30 minutes to walk home from the grub truck. He got home at around 3 in the morning and went to bed. But did he? Allegedly. Sha Walter showed on a map the way he walked home, and the way he described did not pass the residents of the homicide scene. Sunday, November 13th, Sha Walter woke up around 10 o'clock in the morning to watch NFL football. He left his house and went to Floyd's dispensary across the border in Washington. And I do know Floyd's was open that early, so that could be. But did they go and get Floyd's video cameras and see if that's true? Probably not. He couldn't remember if he went to Floyd's before he started watching football or if he started watching football and then went to Floyd's. He thought it was weird because he drove past the scene on the way to Floyd's and didn't see any police or anything out of the ordinary. I get he might be talking in hindsight, but if he thought it was weird in the moment that he didn't see any police or anything out of the ordinary, then that would be pretty significant. If you didn't know anything happened, why would you think anything would be weird? He could be talking in hindsight. He could have meant that in the moment he felt it was weird. I don't know. Of course, it doesn't specify because we never get details. It says Sha Walter drove a blank. During the morning, people called him to see if he knew what was going on down the street at the homicide scene. Sha Walter didn't believe them and walked outside to see. Sha Walter had to walk down the street to see the residence or the homicide scene. There was a rumor of an unconscious person, which seemed believable. During the group chat between the pledge classes from the fraternities and sororities, kids realized people were missing and something more than a person passed out might have happened. Most of his chats are via Snapchat. Some of the family members of the victims started letting people know about the homicide before the news did. Sha Walter heard a lot of people were packing up and leaving. Sha Walter felt jumpy even leaving his apartment and walking to his car. Interesting. Why would he feel jumpy unless he was jumpy for his own reasons. Why would you be scared, especially with all the police around? I mean, is that why you're scared? Who knows? Interesting. He would be able to do his classes online, so he packed up the next morning, which was Monday, and left. For some reason, and I could have just had it wrong the whole time, I always thought Sha Walter left that Sunday. I didn't realize it was Monday. Yeah, exactly. Stop that right now. Was he jumpy because there was red fluid in his apartment, so he needed to book it and get the heck out of town? Writing down the rabbit hole says his story is messed up, like 2 other people's in this case. Inside Your Bones says they do have a secret messaging system for students. I get that younger students or kids or whatever use Snapchat a lot. I don't use Snapchat, so it's not really a thing for me. I just find it interesting how much some people use Snapchat thinking that the messages disappear forever. It could be suspicious, to only use Snapchat, but then again, it could just be what you prefer. So that can go either way. I just don't understand why he feels jumpy, even leaving his apartment in broad daylight. I don't know. He had only been to the residence where the homicide took place maybe once. Was it that night? No, I'm just kidding. When he did go there, he was pretty sure it was all different people living there. He heard there was a party there earlier that day that some of his friends went to. Sha Walter went to the corner club by himself because he had friends who went there and worked there. Maddie and Gonsalves were the only ones in their group who left the corner club and went to the grub truck. Of the victims, only Maddie and Kaylee were out at the bar. Sha Walter believed Xana and Ethan were still underage. Sha Walter thought the car in front of their house looked similar to the one who picked them up that night. Oh, interesting. Huh. It seemed like a friend that picked them up, not a random person. People usually use designated drivers from their fraternities or sororities. He thought maybe Xana and Ethan might have picked up Mogan and Gonsalves. Sha Walter doesn't usually go to parties. He usually goes to the bar. He heard a rumor there was a party at the victim's residence earlier. Earlier, like that night? Xana sometimes would get a little crazy with partying and blank. I'm assuming that blank might be substances. Because it says Mogan just uses alcohol. Kaylee, he thought, just drank alcohol only. So I'm assuming he's talking about Xana using substances. He doesn't remember meeting Gonsalves prior to that night. After the incident, he heard rumors of Kaylee having a stalker. Any girl who belonged to the blank sorority should know about the stalker information. Maddie and Kaylee, he believed, both belonged to that sorority. Sha Walter had an ex-girlfriend he was trying to get back together with. For most of the past few years, he had a girlfriend who went to a different school, so he hadn't been hanging out with a lot of people regularly. Sha Walter had no idea who could have committed these homicides. Usually, the craziest thing that happens are people getting MIPs and DUIs. He hadn't heard any rumors about why this could have happened. He thought the only reason someone might have acted out like this is for love. Oh, is that him pointing the finger at somebody? He heard there are videos of him at the grub truck. Okay. With Kaylee and Maddie. Okay, so he's He's pointing the finger to try and get the heat off of him, whether it's, non-nefarious reasons or nefarious reasons, whatever. He still doesn't want the attention on him, obviously. He's trying to tell them that it's probably a guy that is upset. Hey, Monty. Hello, Monty. Thank you, Monty. Yay. We love you, Monty. I hope you know that. Thank you. So then it says, the grub truck live streams the video on Twitch TV. News outlets have identified him from that video and have called him. Wow. Sha Walter left Moscow Monday morning around noon. He traveled home by way of Ontario, Oregon, instead of New Meadows because he doesn't like driving through the mountains. With consent, I collected buccal swabs from Sha Walter. He also had no apparent injuries to his hands, forearms, head, or neck areas. The interview ended at approximately 4:02 p.m. For complete details, blah, blah, blah. There was a recording of it. You know what I find? And that's all for the Sha Walter interview. How would he, if he had never met Kaylee, if he is claiming to never have met Kaylee, how does he know if she only drinks? That's weird, right? Or am I reading too much into that? That's strange. So what do you guys think of the Sha Walter interview? I don't think it's a whole lot. I think there's a couple of things in there that are like, okay, that's weird. But that's only because we know about the red fluid in his apartment and things like that. I don't know if I would look at this without knowing about the red fluid in his apartment. I don't know if I look at this and think that there was really anything crazy here. I do think it's a little weird that he's super jumpy for apparently no reason, according to him. Yeah, inside your bones. I do feel like he is giving away a few key things. I mean, why are you jumpy? Number one, you're yeah, you're right. Stop that right now. Hoodie guy has always been a little sus. Why is he jumpy, right? And then if you don't know Kaylee, how do you know if she only drinks alcohol and doesn't participate in using substances? Because I thought you only met her that night. And then the fact that he's like, Maddie said bye to me. I don't remember her doing that. I could be wrong. It does, exactly. Writing down the rabbit hole. Writing down the rabbit hole says not a whole lot of info, but he does seem like he's trying to get the heat off of himself. I mean, for somebody to point the finger at somebody else kind of out of the blue. Also, I do want people to keep in mind that with these statements, we don't know what questions are being asked. I wish there was like a detailed question, answer. We don't know if he's mentioning, oh, it could be somebody because of love just out of the blue, or was he asked a question? We don't know. I wish there was one. So, all right. We talked about Sha Walter. We talked about the appeal. Oh, I was going to let you guys know about Maddie's mom putting in the lawsuit for crime scene pictures. We already know about that, though. My question on that topic was, she stated pictures in her daughter's room or of her daughters. Does that just mean no crime scene pictures at all anymore? Or just of Maddie in the room? I don't know. We'll find out, I'm sure. The first, I'm not sure what you guys are talking about or if I missed something. Jack Showalter's interview was the 16th. And it was at his parents' house in Boise. So they traveled all the way to Boise. And then the first press conference was 3 days after. Oh, you make a very good point then, Fizzy. They cleared Sha Walter from this interview. Yep, you got it, Fizzy. Good job. That was really good insight and thinking on that. So yeah, they cleared Sha Walter off of this interview. They did get a buccal swab from him though. But what's the point if you're not going to test any of them, right? Inside Your Bones says the cops are transcribing, which means they choose what's written that they are told. So it's their final choice what's written. Witnesses or people can't write their own, I don't think. Yeah, that is a very good point, just so everybody knows that, yeah, they do pick what is put down. And sometimes I think, especially with the Moscow Police Department, I know they go off their body cams, or what they were going off their body cams, but you're trying to write a report of kind of a discussion or interview, definitely not an interrogation, but an interview that happened for MPD. It was 3 months prior. Like, how much can you really remember? I mean, yeah, you're right. They do get to pick and choose what's in there. Hey, Stevie. Jack Showalter? Jack Showalter or Jack Decor? I think he did that. See, that's what I remember too. I remember, and I thought that he left. I thought Jack Showalter left the same day on Sunday. That's what I always remember. I could be very wrong because on here he says he went Monday. But okay, I thought he went to his parents' cabin. Wasn't that the whole rumor with him? He drove at 5 a.m. and went to his parents' cabin, or is that somebody else? Yep, you are very right. A lot of people cleared way too soon. Well, and it's funny. Hi, Tiff. And it's funny you say that, Tiff. So Tiff says, just like, I don't know how Decor was at the club talking to the girls at the club, yet they call him less than 45 minutes later and suddenly he's asleep and not answering the phone. Ciao, bye. Did I do that justice for you? So I agree with that, because with Decor's statement on that, he told some friends that he thought it was just a booty call and that's why he didn't answer. Well, which one is it? Were you awake and did you think it was a booty call and you were ignoring it, or were you sleeping? Because he told the police he was sleeping. So which one is it? Hi, not me. So, okay, you guys, tell me if I'm wrong. I thought Sha Walter went the next day at 5 a.m. and drove to his parents' cabin and said, I'm not coming back for 2 weeks. And then called maintenance to go check his apartment. And that's exactly, Carol. What guy doesn't want a booty call? Or was it Decor who drove to his, right? I have that right? That Sha Walter, I thought, went to his parents' cabin, wasn't going to come back. Isn't that what they said in like another document? The MPD? I'll have to grab them. I'm going to grab them later and compare. I won't do it while you guys, hey, Jeff H. I won't do it while you guys are here, but I'm going to look into that later. I'll have an update for you. Did you guys see, I'm sure you did, the Chronicles of Olivia interview thing they had with her and Steve Jr.? Isn't that hat he wears, isn't that promoting something, right? Am I mistaken? I could be very wrong, but I thought that hat was promoting something. Exactly, Tiff. That's what I thought. I thought, hi, Motoman. I thought Sha Walter went to the cabin and then supposedly flew to Africa, just like Tiff says. I swear that's what I remember. Don't shoot the messenger. Strange. But yeah, did anybody else see the Chronicles of Olivia stuff? It was like an interview with their love story and her engagement ring. I always thought that hat, Steve, his dad, Kaylee's dad, I've seen him wearing that hat as well. And I always thought it was a promotion of something. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I thought it was a promotion of something, which I find very strange to begin with. And this is totally off topic, but not really. I always found it strange that Steve Gonsalves was wearing certain hats like Hex and stuff like that to literally promote money things, Bitcoin and all, stuff like that. Why? Yeah, crypto. Why are you promoting crypto in interviews about your deceased daughter who was murdered horrendously, and you're using that time to remember to put your hat on to promote crypto? Dear parents, please don't ever do that if that happens to me, okay? I just clicked a button and I don't know what I did. Okay, there we go. So I don't know. I always thought that was strange. I don't know what yes, somebody said, where was it? A crucifix. Twinkle. Hi, Twinkle. It is a crucifix, I'm pretty sure, but for some reason I thought it was attached to a brand of some sort. I could be very wrong. Hello, Nicole. Thank you, Twinkle. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I get that too, Fizzy. Yeah, I get both sides of everything. I get the logical thinking of stuff too. You know what I mean? Like my brother has a favorite hat that he wears. Like I totally get that. But I always thought Steve G was promoting crypto with one of his hats. And I thought there was something else that was being promoted as well in one of his videos, maybe in the background or something. I could be wrong. Please, I could be wrong. Yeah, I get that. Yes, Hex is crypto. Vidrios, do you happen to know? Oh, interesting. Vidrios says Steve G Jr. and Olivia will be featured as part of the Netflix special. Interesting. Vidrios, did you happen to see the latest interview with those two that you just mentioned? And do you happen to know if the upside down, or it might not be upside down. The crucifix looking hat thing, do you happen to know if that is related to any sort of brand? Oh my gosh, you're so right. This case has a dab or not a big dab of all the stuff you would want in a movie, right? It's got the dramatics, it's got the romance, it's got the breakup, it's got the fraternity and sorority, and then the parents, and I mean it's got like, the kick-ass older sister and the sister that was an outcast of her family that isn't even allowed to talk to her dad, Samantha. I mean, it's got a dose of everything. Yep, Pokey. Trauma Bond. Wow. Netflix owns the story. Unreal. Steve Jr.'s cap. It has like a crucifix on it or something. Hello, woman doing false memories. Good to see you as always. Kenny, oh my gosh. I can't. I can't even put that up there. That is funny. You're funny, Kenny. So, okay. I'm not going to keep you guys super long today because I don't have a whole lot, but I thought we could chat a little bit. So I wanted to tell you what woke me out of my sleep last night that I wrote down. I was sleeping. I woke up and immediately had an idea. Half asleep, I wrote it down. Here is my idea. And this is alleged. And I totally just thought of this in my head, and I could be so off or crazy or both. What do you guys think about Brian Koberger possibly having something attached to his car? And what I mean by that is when an officer runs his plate, something comes up to make contact or pull him over, or he's part of something, possibly the NIJ study. I don't know. I'm just using that as an example, to where they have to pull, like something pops up with his plate being ran, that the police need to make contact with him or something, to whether it's to get his DNA, get his fingerprint, something, or he's involved with them on a higher level, because he was pulled over 2 times in Moscow or Pullman before the crime. He was, they ran his plate, and his car was the first and only car that was hit on with the bolo at WSU. How would they get the first and only to be the person that ends up being arrested, right? I find that weird. And then twice on the way to Pennsylvania with his father, and those police officers said that no, they weren't given any direction to pull him over. That's a lot of being pulled over in a very short period of time. That is 4 times in 6 months, plus the bolo on his car, but they ran his plates and got his plates before they even put out the bolo. So could something... I will, Fizzy. That's a good idea. I have asked for a bunch of stuff and I've gotten nothing yet from anywhere. I put FOIAs in 3 months ago and still haven't gotten anything back. Maybe he's a bad driver. Maybe. I mean, it could just be that, right? But I feel like 4 times in 6 months is a lot. And then including the bolo car thing. I don't know. That was just my thought. Thank you, Kenny. Hi, Pumpkin. Yeah, true. He didn't really understand crosswalks. Like what? I mean, I get that he's got autism stuff and is on the spectrum and stuff. So I understand he takes things probably pretty literal. And that's why he asks a lot of the questions that he asks and speaks the way that he speaks. But I do just think that, I don't know, being pulled over 4 times. Thank you, Moto Man. That's why I think he was paranoid, not because he committed murder. See, that's what I think you're getting my drift. Like there was something else to him. He was being pulled over constantly. I'm going to knock on wood because I'm going to say I haven't been pulled over in so long. Knock on wood again. I feel like 4 times in 6 months is a lot. And then literally 2 in one day. And those officers said that they weren't given direction to pull him over. 2 in one, like, goodness. It just makes me wonder if there was something attached to his name, his license plate, or something to make contact when his plates are ran for whatever reason. Whatever reason it might be. And yeah, you're right. He could just be a timid driver or a bad driver or whatever. It could be totally innocent and mean nothing. But I feel like in this case, like sometimes little stuff like that matters because you never know with this case. gang stalking is right by the police. Oh, I missed a comment that I wanted to put up here, and now I can't find it. Yeah, you're right. Writing down the rabbit hole. He could have been part of something that we don't know anything about. And that's why I use the NIJ study thing just as an example, because I know Bertie's talked about that a lot. And a lot of the points he made could make sense and it could fit. I'm not trying to be like super out there with conspiracy, but some of the information fit. And it's scary to think about. Yeah, all the time, right, Steve? Like that's a lot. That's excessive. Just a thought. That was my middle of the night, wake up out of sleep and can't get this case out of my mind, even in my dreams. Yeah, he could have been used as a fall guy. Some people do think he is a CI, and I think that there's a lot of people that think that um, people in the house were CIs. I mean, is it too far-fetched? Not really, especially with all of the details that we know as a whole, not details we know from the reports or officers or anything, but just from regular everyday people digging, that there was some stuff going on, and it's possible there could have been CIs in the house. Hello, Kaylee. I think I just responded to a comment of yours on a video not too long before I started this live. Kaylee says, I absolutely believe someone in the house was a confidential informant. Is it Soule? Souffle? ACI is it's called confidential informant. So CI, I forgot what that's called, anagram or something. Yeah, I do think it's very possible that there are confidential informants within that house. I mean, it could be a coincidence. We don't believe in those, but it could be just so happened that each victim in this case, including Brian Koberger, all had police contact. Brett Payne is my homeboy. Oh my God. That is hilarious. I just got to put that up there because it's funny. I love that. You guys are so clever. My goodness. I was going to actually ask you guys a question and I should have wrote it down because now I forgot. Kaylee makes a good point. It's the only thing that makes sense. The FBI would only orchestrate a cover up of this magnitude to cover their own behinds. I think it's a mixture of that and, of course, the university. I mean, we talk about it probably every live we have over here that the university and the money, that's where it's at. And that's why they need it covered. They cannot miss all of this money. There was a video I watched earlier today by somebody I had never heard of, and now I can't think of the name of it. Darn it. Something West. You guys might know who I'm talking about. But he put some good information in a video earlier today about confidential informants and follow the money. Casper West. Thank you, Bianca. Yeah, it was basically about following the money with the university. It was a pretty darn good video. Did anybody, that's what I was going to ask you guys. I think I asked Christina yesterday, but I don't think either of us ended up looking into it. Did anybody compare the backpack that was found at the crime scene in the living room and compare it to the backpack that was in the back of the undercover vehicle's car that night? Has anybody compared either of those to see if they look alike by chance? You know, or even possibly the one that was in the backyard that they just walked over or stared at constantly and never bagged and tagged it. Why would you not pick up a black backpack from the backyard of a crime scene? Oh, no way, Tiff. I think you're right. I don't believe that. No way. Tiff says, I will say this, Brian did not pull all this off by himself. No way, no how, period, point blank. Yep. No, but yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, if people want to think he's involved, and like I always say, he could have absolutely done this, and I'm 1,000% wrong, fine. Then they have the right person that's in jail. But just because of everything we know and how much we've dug into this and other people have dug into this, it's hard to believe that Brian Koberger, if he did do this, did it alone. And I don't know if you guys, hey, Happy Hounds, so good to see you. Thank you, Bianca. Also, dang it, I forgot what I was going to say. Nope, I forgot what I was going to say. Hi, Core. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I'm sure some of you at least saw the video I put out yesterday and talking about her Dylan's statement with the time of the perpetrator being in the house. Now, I know that a lot of us believe that the car that's speeding from the scene is actually the undercover cop car, which it very well could be. And I think her statement kind of solidified that a little bit more for me. So yesterday in my video, just to touch on it real quick, Dylan made a statement in these reports that we've already read. She said that, right, she saw the perpetrator leave through the back slider. Now, she also said she called her roommates on the phone between 4:20 and 4:27, and apparently she showed her phone that she did that. And then she said she also called out to her roommates, like, hey, what's going on type, Kaylee, Xana, or whoever it was. And she said that was about the same time that she called them on the phone. Now, when she called them on the phone, it was between 4:20 and 4:27. And then after that is when she saw the perpetrator leave. So that means if she thought the perpetrator heard her calling her roommates on the cell phone, he would have had to still be in the house after that car was seen speeding from the scene, because that car was seen around 4:20, right? If she didn't call her roommates on the phone until after 4:20, anytime up to 4:27, and she thought the perpetrator heard her do that, and then she saw him leave, he would have still had to be in the house when that car was speeding away. So it doesn't make sense. I just think it is so crazy. I still think it is so crazy that she's saying, oh, I didn't feel a threat. I didn't feel a threat. But you're so scared that you're peeking out of your door 3 times, and then you're running downstairs to your roommate's room, supposedly, but you don't feel a threat at all. No, you sound like you're scared. And now in hindsight, oh, she was terrified and now she needs all this money to heal from it. But I thought you didn't feel a threat at all, and that's why you didn't call 911. But you're peeking out of your door. You're hearing all this stuff. You're hearing somebody in the bathroom crying. You're hearing Kaylee screaming. You know what like you're hearing and seeing all this stuff. You see somebody in your house with a mask on that had to be carrying a knife because they apparently no longer have a sheath, right? But you didn't call 911 for 8 or 9 hours after that. Like, stop it. Stop it. I really want to see a picture of the sheath. I don't know why that can't be shown. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody's room or, anything really, other than they could just zoom in on the sheath. Heck, show us a picture of the sheath in evidence even. It doesn't have to be on Maddie's bed. I just want to see how much red fluid is actually on it. I find it strange. I thought they might do that with the money, Moto. He says they're buying her a house. I thought that she might do that, is buy a house. I'm curious if she does, where she buys it at. Texas, and hello, Texas, if I didn't say hi yet. Hi, Christy Mack. Texas says it's probably got a lot of substance on it. I don't know. And that's why I want to see it. Christy says, agree, honey. Sheath, please. Right? I just want to see. I would hope not, but wouldn't it be crazy if she did? Because didn't one of the roommates move just a couple houses down after this, immediately following the crime, because they couldn't live there? I heard that one of the roommates moved just a couple houses down or a couple apartments over, which the person hadn't been caught yet, as far as she knew. So wouldn't you be scared to live on the same street? Wouldn't you think they'd be coming back for you if you didn't know who the perpetrator was, right? But if you're moving just a couple apartments down, you might know who the perpetrator was, and you might know they're not coming for you, and that's why you move so close to the dang crime scene. I don't agree with the GoFundMe either. I don't. And it might be mean, but I just don't. Oh, I do remember that. Carol says it must be Bethany because Dylan was in her mom's bed for months. I don't remember if that was a statement she made or somebody made it for her. Really, Twinkle? I've heard of one. You know where I heard of the word sheath for the first time was an episode of oh my gosh, what is the show? They have a family with the 3 daughters or 2 daughters. Oh my gosh, now I can't remember what show it is. A blonde wife and a dark-haired husband, and it's funny. And then the brother is has a husband that's heavy set, and they sit in front of the camera. Not Family Matters. What is it? It's close to that. You know who I'm talking about though, right? Anyway, no, not Growing Pains. It's not a newer show, but maybe like 10, 15 years ago. Oh my gosh. The brother has red hair and he has a Modern Family. Thank you, Carol. Goodness. Modern Family. Yes. So they were at a birthday party. They were sewing their own comb sheaths for their combs. That's where I learned of the word sheath for the first time. Thank you. Because that would have driven me nuts. Yeah, that is a funny show. Well, I think it's funny that, well, not funny at all, but, coincidence that Pullman helped Moscow with nearly everything and vice versa. But then suddenly when you have a quadruple homicide for like the first time ever, and Pullman calls you and says, hey, where do you need us? And they're like, oh, we don't need you. Interesting. Right? But yeah, I do want to see a picture of the sheath. And the reason I want to see it is because it was found. Well, here's what I have a problem with the sheath. We have so many different reports on where the sheath was found, like where it was located, where the victims were in relation to the location of the sheath. Woman doing false memory says, Roseanne. It was Modern Family. Hello, Claire Bear. Anyway, so the sheath, right, at first, however many officers went in there, Nunez and whoever else went into that room and did not see it. Then suddenly Payne comes in and he says he sees it right away from the door frame. But Payne also said he spent some time in that room by himself in that moment when he found the sheath. Payne says it's on Maddie's right side. This ISP officer says he saw it and it was on Maddie's left side. Then we're told it's covered up, in between them and the blankets. And then we're told that it's in plain sight. Well, then how come the other officers didn't see it? Right? So we're being told, hello, Anna P. Anna P Music. Good to see you. Hi, Juniper Rob. Right. And we're not giving, just like Juniper says, we're assuming that the sheath buckle was open. Like we aren't given any details, but the tiny bit of detail that we are given, like the location of it, they can't even agree on where that was, how it was, where it was, everything. So my question is, the reason I want to see the sheath is because I want to see how much red fluid is on it. If it's directly in between Maddie and Kaylee, it should be covered. It should be absolutely covered. But if it's not, then there raises another question. I just think, I think it's interesting. Kaylee says there was no sheath and Brian's DNA was not found in that house. And I can totally see where people might get that idea, that might think that. I mean, just the way everything is described, Payne's the only one who saw it, but he also spent time in the room by himself in that moment when it was found. It's hard. And then to get the DNA from it, they didn't send the sheath itself to have the DNA extracted from it. They sent the swab in. I would have liked to, thanks, Christina. I would have liked to see them, Othram get the DNA from the sheath itself rather than just a sample, because that sample could have been rubbed from anywhere. Not that I trust it anymore, you know what I mean? But sending in a sample, we don't know where that sample actually came from. Did it actually come from a sheath? And I think that's how. Hi, Michael McAllister. No kidding. Oh, Michael says, hi, just imagine how loud it would be just to hear something that brutal. God bless everyone. Amen. You're right, though. You're very right. And then Dylan's, maybe she was intoxicated. I get that. But you know what would sober you up more than anything? We have all, and I'm not saying this is okay or that it's a good thing, we have all probably gotten behind the wheel, even if we're 18, 21, and been intoxicated and have driven, whether it's super sloppy or just buzzed. Either way is wrong, but we've all done that. Most of us, not all, most of us have. And when you see an officer get behind you in that moment, how quickly do you sober up? Because I've done it, and it's happened to me, and I got sober pretty darn quick. I didn't suddenly feel as intoxicated as I did 5 minutes prior to that. So if you're intoxicated and you've got all this stuff going on in your house, literally 4 lives are taken horrendously, and 2 of those people we know of fought really freaking hard. We know they were screaming. We know that she heard footsteps, what sounded like running up and down the stairs. Just all this stuff, right? You would think that you would sober up pretty quick when you see a masked man in your home with a knife or a weapon or a gun or whatever they had. So I don't know how she can use that she was so drunk as an excuse. Yeah, exactly. 4 people being brutally unalived would sober me up. You betcha. I still think it's absolutely wild that if it's true that Xana was chased from the stairs, which I have now heard that it is untrue that Xana's red fluid was found in the 3rd floor stairway. I've heard both. I've heard it was, and now I've heard that that's not true. Either way, Dylan still says she heard running on the stairs, so somebody's being chased. She hears screaming, she hears crying, I would at least think that that table right there would be pushed out of the way. If somebody was running from a perpetrator, I personally would like to think I would have used that table to push it against them to give me a little bit of time to escape. Maybe Koberger, if let's say it is him, is he like some hired ninja assassin that works for like the CIA or something? Because to do all of that in 7 minutes or less in a home you've never been in the dark, and like with a Sensi light on, Jesus, you are really a ninja assassin. See, that's the parts that I struggle with, thinking you couldn't be that drunk. She was updating her resume on LinkedIn and stuff. She wasn't that drunk, right? Jason Bourne. Vitrios. I feel like that's the $1 million question. 2 alive in the house and did nothing. If you're so scared after seeing a masked man in your home with whatever they were carrying that you have to run down to your other roommate's room, I understand maybe not calling the police, let's just say because you thought in the moment it was a prank. Wouldn't you at least call somebody in that moment? Anybody? The neighbor? A friend? Anybody? In that moment, they did nothing. And then there's obvious signs of a cleanup. So my whole problem is the neighbor walked by the house between 8 in the morning and 11 in the morning. And both times that neighbor walked by the house, that front door was wide open. But 50 minutes later, when Hunter comes over, he's got to use the code to get in the front door. So one of those 2 girls had to have shut that front door. Who shut the front door? That's what I want to know. Right, exactly, souffle. No way you're just going to fall asleep after that. Who the heck? No. Super sketchy. I'm wondering, shut the front door. You lit liquor. I'm wondering, were any of the victims wearing an Apple Watch or anything that would show maybe a time of death? I haven't heard that yet. It's an interesting thought. Also, there were some things that the Barnharts said about Cellbrite and extracting information that I don't think was true. Sherlock made a post about it, and I very much agree with him. I don't remember the exact words, so I don't want to butcher it. But go check out Sherlock Rome's his last post if you haven't seen it yet. And I think we've all questioned, did Brian Koberger take a picture within the time frame that they said his phone shut off or he powered down his phone? Now, what I find interesting in all of this phone stuff is I thought they said he wiped his phone clean. How are you getting all of this stuff off? You've gotten everything off of his phone. Stuff from long time ago, stuff, how can you then say he wiped his phone, but you have everything from it? That's what I don't understand. Hello, Denise. Thank you, Denise. We love you being here. Denise says, sorry, I just don't buy it. How can you not hear 4 people being stabbed in your own home? Love your channel. I don't know. And they say that the walls were paper thin, which I can totally see. Hey, Witchy. Hey, Jesse Martinez. This is a great group of people. This really is, like, just the mix with everybody. How we bounce ideas off of everybody. Everybody's positive. I love it. I wish we could. Hi, Ro. I wish we could get a trial. Man, the stuff that I think would come out from the defense, and then the stuff that we would never hear from the prosecution because it never happened and they never got any information or they found it to not be true. The lack of evidence that the prosecution would have, and then all the stuff that the defense could come up with, as much as we all have, right? Every channel in this community has come up with something that I think is a banger that the defense could use in court. I really do. I think he 1,000% would have been found not guilty. And that's why the plea deal, I think, is so strange to so many people. Exactly, Anna P. They were pranksters. And I think we get that point, right? Like, we all understand that they did do pranks on each other. We get that. But after seeing an assailant mixed with the other stuff, the running on the stairs, the crying in the bathroom, the screaming, the fight, the dog barking, and you didn't even pick up the phone to call your neighbor or anybody. You called Hunter at noon. Why didn't you call him when it happened? It makes me wonder how many of them could possibly have been saved if it was right in that moment. Probably not much could have been done, but it's possible. You never know. Somebody threatened or made big promises for Koberger to plead guilty. I often wonder, with him being autistic or having, being on the spectrum, having autism, I wonder if that was a decision he made himself and maybe his lawyers tried to talk him out of it. And he was like, no, ultimately this is my decision. And he did what he thought was best, but it wasn't. But it could go with his autism and, maybe not knowing what was best, really. Hi, contrary, Marge. Well, and you're right, riding down the rabbit hole. Why not call the cops? It would have been interesting to see how fast they got there. they say an undercover cop was in the area. I find that interesting because in one of the reports from the other day, a neighbor said that they drove by at 11:45 and saw one cop car there. Well, that would have been before the 911 call. Do we think that maybe he was just giving a roundabout time and it wasn't exactly at 11:45? Or was there an actual cop car there at 11:45 like we hear in the dang 911 call? Steven says, well, Steve G said they found a whole lot of his DNA. I'm wondering where that is. Right. They did find a whole lot of his DNA right in the place that they put it before they put it on the sheath or before they sent it to Othram. Monty, you are so funny. Oh my goodness. There we go. Hot pie gravy. I agree, Fred. Hello, Fred. Hello, Fred. I agree. I think the answers are in there. I think we all need to continue to dig. I would absolutely hate to see this community fall apart. I don't want to see anybody being negative to anybody. That upsets me. Because I think that a lot of us in this community are looked at by, the opposite side of the fence as crazy, and I don't want to give them more ammo. I hope everybody can just get along and work together, because I do think the answers are in here. It's in what we're given. We just have to find it and put it together. I want to know what's on the victims' phones as well. All of them. You're right, contrary. Marge says, what's on Kaylee's phone? I agree. I want to know that too. I want to know what's on all of them, honestly. I want to know where Xana was getting her blue substance from. I think that might mean something. Oh, I believe you, Christina. Christina was saying in chat that Pav went through the reports, and he says there's absolutely no proof in any of the documents that say Brian Koberger was there. And I understand that people on the opposite side of the fence will always come back with, he pled guilty and his DNA was there. And we all know what we say to that. DNA was less than a secondary transfer amount of DNA. And lots of people plead guilty to crimes all the time. That's why there's an Innocence Project. That's why there's so many people that have been exonerated that actually confess to a crime, like said, oh, this is what I did, this is where I went, this is how I did it, and they never even really committed the crime for real. Like DNA evidence excluded them from the crime, and they committed to a whole thing that they did, and it wasn't ever real. Hello, Nene. Welcome. I don't know. We should try and reach out. How do we interview Adam? I think there's a document in here, I'm pretty sure, that interviews Adam, but it doesn't say anything. It says what we already know. It says absolutely nothing. Like, I went to the bar, I hung out with this person and that person at the bar, I saw this person, I saw the girls on the Twitch stream, I went home and went to bed. That's it. They did interview, well, if you want to call it an interview, I'm sure they just said, hey, tell us about your night. Okay, thank you. Have a good life. Like they did with everybody else. Hello, James. Absolutely. And when you are in jail, the police can do anything they want to you. Absolutely. I think what did Maddie tell Adam is also $1 million question. I don't know why we haven't seen an interview. With Adam, I think that it's very strange to me that we didn't see any interrogation of anybody. Nobody was interrogated. Nada. Oh, thank you, James. Very good to see you. James says respect and appreciation for you and all your friends and family always. That's so sweet. Thank you. You as well. You and your family and everybody you love and care about too. Wait, did I miss something about Pav? Hello, Core again. Core says, when did the other girl who was at the house watching Vampire Diaries leave? Wasn't it at, I don't know an exact time. I'm not going to pretend like I do, but for some reason, I feel like it was somewhere around 3 something. I could be very wrong, and I could be thinking of a different day. But I also don't think they gave us an exact time. I don't even know if they gave us a time at all in these reports. And I could just be thinking of that time just from like hearsay knowledge, allegedly. But I don't know if we have an exact time. What I remember from recent reports is Dylan claims that they're really good about locking doors, that she is the one in particular who locks the back door. But that night she dismissed herself from all of the girls talking in Kaylee's room and she went to bed and she did not lock the door. So why are you dismissing yourself from the group? And why did you not lock the door? Something that you usually do. Was she setting it up? I don't know. Allegedly, my opinion. I don't know. Who knows? All right, guys, I'm going to hop off in about 2 minutes. You know where I'm going, the PARK with Bronxy B Lever. Thank you, everybody, for joining and putting up with me today and giving us your time for a little while. Please, if you think about it, hit the like button on the way out. Everything we say is our opinion and alleged. What else? I think that's all I have for today. I think Pav has a new video that he just put out today. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet, so I will do that when I take Bronxy to the park. It's so good to see all of you. Nicole and Souffle, James, my mods, a huge thank you to you guys for putting up with me. Bianca, stop that right now. And Christina. And of course, our channel owner, which is Monty. Texas Ranger, riding down the rabbit hole. Fred, Carol, Vidrio, Steven, Karen, Carol, Kenny, Nene, Tiff, Contrary, Marge, Claire Bear, C-Jag, Core, Hot Pot Gravy, baby. I-Rock, of course. Brett Payne is my homeboy. We need to make a song out of that. A real good twangy country song. Roe, Twinkle, Jesse, Anna P. Witchy, Kaylee. And I hope I got mostly everybody in chat. Woman doing false memories. Think I got mostly everybody. I'm going to feel bad if I didn't. Thank you to Christina for modding. Stop that right now. And Bianca, all for modding. I appreciate you guys so, so much. I appreciate everyone being here, everybody tuning in to pre-recorded videos. So much love to everybody. Hi, Mary Marilyn. Consider clicking the member button. That did go live actually yesterday, so we're really excited. We have so much stuff planned for members. Of course, we will never forget about non-members, and please, it's $2.99. If you do not have it, please do not become a member if you do not have it, but consider it if you can. If someday you're going to think back and think, oh, I wish I didn't give that $2.99 to Bronx, or I would have gas in my car today, then please don't join. Don't do that. But if you have it and would love to support, we would love to have you support. It's $2.99. It will always only be $2.99. Other than that, we appreciate everybody. Do something nice for yourself today. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your dog and your cat and all your animals and yourself, of course. Love you guys. We love you guys so much. Have a great night.